meeting of the City of Sparks Capital Improvement Advisory Committee. For those of you who are here for the Planning Commission meeting, we're just doing this one first. Shouldn't be very long, and then we will have the Planning Commission meeting. Madam Secretary, could you please call the roll.
Commissioner Kramer.
Here.
Commissioner Nicolai.
Here.
Commissioner Putzos.
Here.
Commissioner Lawson.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Rodriguez Elkins.
Here.
Commissioner Herbert.
Here.
Assistant City Attorney Brian Sendall.
Here.
City Planner Scanna Reed.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move on to the public comment. This is the general public comment. Again, for those of you in attendance, if you wanted to speak now, that's fine, but we will have the regular Planning Commission meeting in a few minutes. All right. Seeing no public comment, I will close this public comment and move to item 4, approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
I will second that.
All right, we have a move by Commissioner Kramer, second by Commissioner Reed. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote. Commissioner Rodriguez Elkins,
Yeah, sorry, no.
sorry, was that a yes or a no vote?
I'm sorry, could you ask the question again?
We're voting on the agenda.
Yeah,
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 5, approval of the minutes. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee study session held on Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. And are we serious? Okay.
Yep.
And the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee meeting held on Thursday, July 17th, 2025.
All right,
Is that right?
July.
If I could,
Approved
Mr.
minutes?
Chair, yes, the last time
Oh,
the
it's
CIAC
20,
met was actually last
okay.
summer
Yeah.
when we considered the updates to impact fee service area number 1. So these are the most recent minutes for your approval.
All
Okay,
right, thank
I
you.
will second that.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by
Threw me off
Commissioner
the dates.
Kramer and a second by Commissioner Reed. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote. Commissioner Rodriguez Elkins, how do you vote? Commissioner Rodriguez Elkins, on the minutes, aye or nay? Oh no, we lost her.
hey,
Oh, there we go.
sorry.
All right, thank you. Motion passes.
I can barely hear you, I'm sorry.
All right, we are moving on to general business, consideration, discussion, and possible recommendation to the Sparks City Council to approve the Regional Transportation Commission's Regional Road Impact Fee 8th Edition Land Use Assumptions, Proposed Capital Improvements Plan, Associated Fees, and updates to the General Administrative Manual. Whew.
No, I've seen longer.
I have to.
Good evening, Vice Chair, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Amber Sosa, the City Engineer for the City of Sparks. Thank you for having me. So we have today with us, I'm pleased to introduce Jeff Wilbrecht. He's the Engineering Manager from the Regional Transportation Commission, a colleague of ours that we work together quite well, and he's going to give you an update on the Regional Road Impact Fee, the 8th edition update that's being proposed, as well as updates to the General Administration Manual, the GAM. So I'm going to turn you over to Jeff. I know you're in good hands, but I'm happy to answer any questions should you need anything from me. All yours.
Good afternoon or good evening now. Thank you for having me. My name is Jeff Wilbrecht. I work for RTC Washoe. To kind of kick it off, so it's always good to kind of refresh ourselves of what is the Regional Road Impact Fee Program. It's kind of the adjective or the abbreviation of its RIF. So as new development comes into our community, we assess impact fees that pay for regional road improvements. So if we don't do this, the condition of the regional road network will begin to degrade, and that new demand that the new development creates this is the funding source that we'll have to help pay for those needs to maintain a good level of service for our community. The program itself has a couple advantages and limitations. The advantages, like I said earlier, it allows the development community to pay its fair share for its growth that is causing to our community. And it's viewed as an equitable system that's been supported by a community. The program itself has been in place since roughly the mid-90s, so it's almost 30 years old. There's a couple limitations for the program and the funding that is collected out of the program. It can't be used for operating costs, maintenance expenses, or non-capacity improvements, such as if a roadway had landscaping or something like that, for example. The program is administered through kind of a layers of Nevada revised statutes, NRS 278B. The local governments, your city has ordinance and codes that allow the collection of fees. And then as Amber was saying, we work really well together. So the Regional Road Impact Fee Program is kind of it's a group program. So City of Reno, City of Sparks, Washoe County all work together along with RTC to enact the same fee across our entire community. And in that agreement, RTC is kind of designated as the gatherer of all those, that process. The program's governed by two manuals or two documents, the General Administrative Manual and the Capital Improvement Plan. The GAM, the General Administrative Manual, is really the guidelines and procedures of how the program is implemented. So it kind of gives processes to staff to administer the program and then also to the development community of how the program's administered. The Capital Improvement Plan is that list of projects that are directly attributable to new development. So all the capacity needs that as development grows, what are the roadway capacity improvements that are needed to support that new growth? That is attributable to that new growth. It also includes items that relate to how the fee is calculated and the assumptions relative to that. Sorry, organize my stuff here. So why are we doing this? We're doing this as the program itself through NRS as well as the interlocal cooperative agreement require periodic reviews and updates of the program. And per the ICA, RTC is responsible for initiating that review. For RTC, we follow that. We initiate that review after we approve the Long Range Transportation Plan, the RTP. And currently we're on the 2050 RTP. And the RTP has that list of capital improvements that are related to capacity. The program also has a RIF TAC, or a technical advisory committee, that includes members of staff of all the local agencies. A member of your planning commission, Carl Nieberlin, is a part of our committee. And then people associated with the private development community. So that we're all kind of working together and understanding how this fee program works and how it's being operated. So this is a kind of a flow chart that helps us identify the flow of how the fee development occurs. So it really focuses on kind of these color areas. Red is the TMRPA, or Turkey Meadows Regional Planning Agency. The green is RTC planning, and then the blue is the RIF program. So through TMRPA, they have a land development model that predicts how our community is growing and where growth is going to occur. And that growth follows your master plans of Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County. RTC has a travel demand model that identifies how trips are generated from different areas of our community and how they interact with the regional road network. The regional transportation plan is the long range plan that's identifying kind of what the needs are in our community that support that growth or are required by that growth. In the RIF program, we kind of consolidate that to a 10-year plan. So we're identifying what are the improvements that are identified in the first 10 years of that long range plan. And then we're identifying the cost of those improvements. So we bring that growth that's identified through the travel demand model and the cost that we're seeing through the RIF program to get a RIF fee schedule by land use. And I'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. So to kind of highlight first, though, a little bit more about the TMRPA and their predictive growth model. That takes information from the consensus forecast. It's looking at vacant parcels. It's looking at tentative maps and final maps and kind of identifying what is the potential in our community for growth. Where is that occurring? What are the future housing units that are beginning occurring? Where's the future employment at? To kind of identify how we're growing. So once we kind of figure out how and why we're growing, where we're growing, we need to understand how are we translating that into a measurable unit that we can translate into a transportation and new trips generated on the regional road network. And for the purposes of the RIF program, we use vehicle miles traveled, or VMT. It's an aggregate number that identifies the length of trips and the number of trips into a single kind of unit. And then you ask, how do we measure VMTs? And so that's the travel demand model. So the travel demand model is looking at all the different areas and consolidating them into the traffic analysis zones. And what are the number of trips in and out of traffic analysis zones? And really, it's kind of harder to see on this graphic, but a trip is generated out of a zone on like a local road, for example, onto the orange segment, which is a regional road, onto another red segment, which is a freeway, back to a regional road, back to a local road to its end destination. The travel demand model really helps us understand, what can the system currently handle? What of the system is being used? Like what is the capacity of the system if it's not fully used? And then when new development occurs through that growth side of the TMRPA, what is that delta? So we can really understand what is the delta attributable to new development. So again, like I kind of mentioned earlier, we take that travel demand model and apply it into the regional transportation plan to identify the list of projects that are needed to support growth in our community. And the RIF program identifies the first 10 years. So the RTP has a couple of funding years. We really look at the first 10 years of that program for the RIF, or the first 10 years of the regional transportation plan for the purposes of RIF. I mentioned this briefly earlier. The program has 2 service areas. An important note of this is any fee collected in a certain service area is spent back in that service area. So we're spending money back in where it was collected to support that growth that's occurring in that service area. So through all that kind of work, we get to this kind of table where we're understanding what is the cost of that RIF share of growth in that first 10 years. How is that split between the north service area and the south service area? And then getting to $1 per VMT share. So what is the unit cost of growth in each development or each service area? And this is a very busy slide. I'm not going to read all the words, but I just want to help illustrate all that work goes into then land uses. So what are the different types of land uses that are occurring throughout our community? And how do we organize it in a way that's repeatable and easy for the community to follow? And I'll just kind of highlight for a single family unit, the program identifies that there's roughly 17.2 VMTs that are created on the regional road network for every new single family house that's built in our community. And when you apply the cost per VMT, you get to roughly $6,100 per unit house. To kind of highlight a couple differences or comparisons of how the General Administrative Manual and Capital Improvement Plan have changed or is proposed to change between the 7th edition and the 8th edition. The first side is kind of the Capital Improvement Plan side. So in this new update, the fees are actually dropping about 2.5%. The capital costs are increasing. And then the VMTs, the growth that we're seeing over that 10-year horizon is actually also slightly decreasing. In the General Administrative Manual, there's just a couple user improvements and really helping. There was a couple different documents that we were using outside of the GAM that we wanted to bring into the GAM. So the roles and responsibilities were kind of housed elsewhere, and we included that in the General Administrative Manual and identified exactly who's doing what, when they're doing it, and just kind of cleaned up the document. We also included a couple more definitions associated with those land use types that were in that previous slide, really to just reflect what's currently happening in our community. So we hear a lot about logistics centers and data centers. We just wanted to make sure that they were covered in this document. And then we also updated the terminology that's in this document just to make sure it's consistent with other planning documents, specifically the RTP. As Amber also mentioned earlier, Nevada NRS and Assembly Bill 444 was recently passed in this last legislative session. It required that a business impact statement be prepared for any changes or new impact fees. So we did complete that recently. A couple of the key findings out of the business impact statement for the RIF program was the new update is really not expected to impose any direct or significant economic burden on businesses. And while some of the business, like the land use types, had minor increases, some also had minor decreases. To talk about kind of the next steps for this process for the RIF update, we are going to all the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, Planning Commission groups of Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County. You guys are actually the last one on my list. And then I'm going to go to your city council and the city council of Reno and the Board of County Commissioners at the county to give them a similar update. And following all those approvals, we'll have a 30-day notice period before these new fees would be enacted. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you very much, Commissioners, do we have any questions?
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Why are the vehicle miles traveled going down?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the RTP process did a household survey and how are homes being, how are households operating, like how they go to work and daycare and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And so we updated all the assumptions that are within that travel demand model to reflect that new survey data. And that's really one of the key components of why that VMT decreased. And you got to think of it in these 10-year horizon blocks. And so in 2021 was the last time we did that. And now in 2025 actually is that new update. So it's from that survey.
Yeah, maybe.
Any other
The
questions?
population has increased, so.
I do. So
Go ahead.
the next update that you do will be when?
So it follows the next RTP. And so we're going to start the next RTP process in roughly 18 months. And it's a 1 to 2 year process to update that. So we're shooting for in roughly 3 years from now to start our update process. And then it would be hopefully sometime in right after the next RTP is updated. So it might be less than 4 years from now,
Okay.
or about 4
So,
years.
in looking at north and south, the costs, so go back to that slide. There you go. So the north service area, the RIF share by service area is $89 million and change. And the south service area is $60 million and change. Yet the cost for VMT for the RIF share is lower for the north than it is for the south.
That's difference.
I'm just,
Yeah, so that's because of the VMT growth in each of those service areas. So we're identifying that the growth in the north service area is roughly 250,000 new VMTs in that service area versus the south at only 157,000. So the dollar per VMT is that capital cost divided by that growth to get that unit
okay.
VMT.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, if we have no more questions for staff, then I'm looking for a motion.
I move to recommend the Sparks City Council approve the Regional Transportation Commission's Regional Road Impact Fee, 8th edition land use assumptions, proposed capital improvement plan, associated fees, and updates to the general administrative manual.
I second that motion.
All right, we have motion by Commissioner Reed, second by Commissioner Kramer. Any further discussion?
I just have one comment.
Go ahead.
Having worked on this committee before, through a couple of updates, I know that the group works really well together and they do a great job. So just want to put that out there, Jeff.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, any other comments? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes. Commissioner Rodriguez Elkins, how do you vote?
You didn't vote.
Oh, I do. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a good night.
All right, should I assume we have no announcements, presentations, or recognition items?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
All right, excellent. All right, moving on to item 9. This is our second public comment. Anyone wish to make public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment. Any staff comments?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments? All right, well, with that, we are going to adjourn this meeting and we will take about an 8-minute recess and then we will come back for the planning commission.